My name is Elena Ford. I'm 32. This morning, I woke up in a storage shed behind the cabin I once bought for my mother. The same one I spent 3 years renovating, every wall painted with her comfort in mind. Now, I sleep on a fold-out cot beside a rusted rake. There's no heater. Just silence and frost seeping through the wood panels. My sister Melissa greeted me last night with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We set something up for you out back," she said. I thought it was a joke. That she was being dramatic. But when I looked at my mom, she didn't laugh. She didn't even blink. So I followed the gravel path alone, dragging my suitcase across a yard I used to call home. And I knew, without needing to ask, that no one expected me to stay long. Maybe not even the night. I'm the youngest. The quiet one. Growing up, Melissa always filled the room, louder, bolder, always needing something. And Mom? Mom gave it. Time, attention, approval. Me? I didn't ask for much. Maybe that was the problem. At 10, I was the one who stayed behind at school because no one remembered it was early dismissal. Melissa was at a cheer meet. Mom was running late. I waited on the curb for 2 hours, watching the shadows shift. At 16, I got a scholarship to a summer writing camp. I didn't go. Melissa needed braces, and the down payment hit the same week. I never said a word. Just smiled and said, "It's fine. Maybe next year." There was never a next year. By 22, I was sending money home every month, rent, groceries, even Melissa's student loan payments when she dropped out and moved back in. No one asked me to. But no one stopped me either. They called me the responsible one. The steady one. The one who never made a fuss. And maybe that's true. I learned early how to shrink myself to keep peace. How to let silence fill the space where disappointment should be. When Mom remarried, I was the one who gave the toast. When Melissa lost her job, I was the one who paid off her car. When Mom's hip surgery wiped out her savings, I was the one who moved money without being asked. No one clapped. No one thanked me. They just moved forward like it was expected. So when I bought the cabin, it felt like something good. Something just mine, until it wasn't. I'd found the listing by accident, tucked between overpriced condos and crumbling ranch homes. A 2-bedroom cabin nestled in Colorado pines, the porch sagging slightly, the roof worn thin. But I saw promise. I saw Mom curled up by the fire, knitting. I saw Melissa helping with herbs in the kitchen garden. So I signed the deed. Paid in full. And a year later, I handed over the keys. Told Mom to live there. Told Melissa to stay as long as she needed. I never imagined I'd return as a guest, let alone be treated like a stranger. But maybe I should have known. People don't always remember what you gave. They remember what you didn't take credit for. And when they think you won't fight back, that's when they stop pretending they ever saw you at all. I arrived 2 days early. It was supposed to be a surprise. I hadn't been back since the cabin was finished, since I handed over the keys and told them it was theirs. I thought showing up before the family dinner would be thoughtful. The gravel crunched under my boots as I pulled up. The porch planter I built from reclaimed wood was gone. In its place, a plastic storage bin. The rocking chair I'd sanded and stained myself, missing. I stood there for a moment, suitcase in hand, waiting for someone to open the door. Melissa did. She looked surprised, but not happy. Her eyes flicked to my luggage, then back to my face. "You're early," she said flatly. I smiled, a little unsure. Thought I'd come ahead, help set up. Maybe catch up. She didn't move from the doorway. Then, stepping aside just slightly, she said it. "We set something up for you out back." I blinked. "Sorry?" She gestured toward the side yard. "It's a bit cramped inside right now. Mom's been reorganizing. The guest room's full of boxes." I glanced behind her. Through the hallway, I could see the guest room door. It was wide open. The bed was neatly made. No boxes. Not a speck of dust. My stomach sank. But I nodded. Said nothing. I followed the side path in silence, dragging my suitcase over uneven stones. The shed sat tucked under 2 pine trees. It used to store garden tools. Inside was a cot. Thin mattress. A single extension cord running to a dim lamp. No heater. The air smelled like paint thinner and mildew. Melissa didn't stay to explain. She just walked away. Later, when I came back inside to ask if they had an extra blanket, I saw them all in the sunroom. Laughing. Melissa, Mom, and two of Melissa's friends. My mother didn't even look up. She was sitting right there, wrapped in the yellow throw blanket I crocheted for her 2 Christmases ago. The same one I found in a tutorial video and stayed up 3 nights learning how to stitch. It was draped over Melissa's lap now. Like it had always belonged to her. I stood there, invisible. Then I walked back to the shed. Tried to breathe. Tried to convince myself it was a mix-up. A misunderstanding. That I hadn't just been demoted from daughter to guest. I lay on the cot, jacket still zipped. My fingers were too cold to scroll my phone. So I stared at the ceiling and whispered. It's just for tonight. It's still your home. But the walls didn't echo. The light didn't flicker. And somewhere, deep in my chest, a small voice finally answered back. No. Not anymore. I didn't knock again. I didn't ask for a blanket. Or food. Or an explanation. That night, I lay on the cot in the shed, jacket zipped to my chin, fingers tucked inside my sleeves. The light from the single lamp buzzed quietly overhead, casting shadows that stretched long across the cracked floor. I didn't cry. But I didn't sleep either. At some point near dawn, I heard laughter. A spoon clinking against a mug. Melissa's voice. She's still here? I thought she had more pride than that. The words floated through the thin wooden walls, soft but sharp. Like needles. I didn't move. Just listened. Another voice, Stacy, her friend. Did she really think she'd sleep inside? This isn't a shelter. Their laughter followed. Muffled. Distant. But not far enough. I pulled the blanket tighter around my shoulders, as if that would block it out. But the cold didn't just come from the wind. It came from the silence. From my mother's silence. She was there. In the kitchen. Making tea, maybe. Stirring sugar into Melissa's cup. Listening. Not stopping it. Not stepping in. I stared up at the rafters. And something inside me stopped waiting. Stopped hoping. There wasn't a specific moment. No bang. No breakdown. Just a quiet shift. A soft click inside my chest. Like a door gently closing. I sat up, pulled my suitcase close, and unzipped the front pocket. Inside was a small folder, documents I always carried, out of habit. Notarized copies. Originals in a fireproof box at home. I flipped through them slowly. The deed. The tax receipts. Insurance paperwork. My name was still on everything. I had never checked because I trusted Mom. She said she'd handle the paperwork. It's just a formality, she told me. I believed her. But now, sitting in that freezing shed, I didn't believe anything anymore. I reached for my phone. The screen was cold against my fingertips. I scrolled to the only name that mattered now, David Cardenas. Old college friend. Real estate attorney. The one who helped me close the deal on this place. I hit call. He answered on the second ring. Elena? David. I need you to pull the deed file. Something wrong? I just need to know if it was ever transferred. He paused. You okay? Not really. But I'm handling it. That last sentence didn't even feel like mine. But I meant it. No screaming. No confronting. I wasn't planning revenge. I wasn't even angry. I was done. Done pretending I was still part of a family that had already decided I was disposable. I ended the call. Set the phone down beside me. And for the first time that night, I exhaled. Not in relief. In clarity. David called back 14 minutes later. Elena, he said, you're still the legal owner. The deed was signed, but your mother never filed it. The property's still yours. I didn't speak right away. I just nodded, even though he couldn't see me. You still there? Yeah, I whispered. Thanks. I ended the call, sat still, staring at the edge of the blanket pulled over my lap. Still mine. Every board, every nail, every hand-painted tile I laid in the kitchen, mine. They'd built their lives on a house they never legally owned. And I had let them. My hand reached for the phone again, slower this time. I opened the voice memo app. "David," I said, "can you draft a formal notice? Let them know that any alterations made to the property without the owner's consent are violations of state law." I hit send. Then I sat back. Waited. I didn't need to storm in. I didn't need to shout. I just needed to not stay quiet anymore. Minutes later, I heard footsteps outside the shed. Then the door flung open, too fast, slamming against the side wall. Reed, Melissa's boyfriend, stood there. Pajama pants, mug still in hand, fury on his face. "Who the hell are you calling?" I didn't flinch. "I made a phone call," I said, calm. "A lawyer? What is this, some kind of stunt?" He stepped closer. "This house isn't yours anymore." That's when I smiled. Not out of joy. Out of certainty. "It is." He stared at me for a beat too long. His hand trembled slightly, not from the cold. He slammed the door on his way out. And I sat there, unmoved. By late afternoon, I walked inside for water. The invitation was sitting on the kitchen counter. Heavy cardstock. Gold trim. Dinner to celebrate new beginnings. Hosted by Melissa Ford and Diane Ford. No mention of me. Not even at the home of Elena Ford. They'd taken my name off the mailbox. But they couldn't take it off the title. I flipped the card over. No note. Just an RSVP number and a dress code. I set it down. Walked back to the shed. Opened my suitcase and chose what I'd wear. Not to belong. But to be seen. That evening, I walked into the dining room just as the guests were seated. The place smelled of garlic and wine. My handmade centerpieces still sat on the table. Reed raised a glass. "We're grateful to everyone here tonight. Especially to our tenant, who's generously allowed us to stay while we get back on our feet." He looked at me like I was a stranger passing through. I didn't smile. I didn't blink. Later, as the meal continued, I walked up to the centerpiece. Lifted it from the table, slow, deliberate. I leaned toward him. "The only reason your glass hasn't shattered is because I still own this table." Then I walked into the kitchen. Placed it on the counter. And let the room sit with the weight of silence. The next morning, I woke up early. The house was silent. Not peaceful, tense. Like it was holding its breath. I brewed coffee. Hazelnut creamer, a pinch of cinnamon, just the way Mom liked it. I poured 2 mugs. Carried them to the kitchen. She was already there, scrolling her phone. Still in her robe. I slid 1 mug toward her. She looked up. Briefly. No smile. No thank you. I sat. "How long do you plan to pretend this is normal?" I asked quietly. Her fingers paused. Then resumed scrolling. "Elena, can we not start the day with tension? I'm not looking for a fight. I'm asking why your daughter slept in a shed while strangers toasted you inside her house." She exhaled. Slow. "Melissa's doing so much for this family. The least you could do is not stir things up." There it was. The truth. I nodded slowly. Took a sip of coffee. "I gave you everything, Mom." She stared past me. "Then be gracious about it." That silence didn't sting anymore. It settled. Like snow over ground already frozen. Later that afternoon, I overheard voices from the office, just slightly ajar. "Melissa." "Reed." A lawyer on speaker. "Once the transfer is finalized," the man said, "the property will be under the Glen name. The original owner can't contest." "She gave it up," Reed said. "She just doesn't realize what that means yet," Mom replied. I backed away from the door, groceries still in hand. Set them down gently. Didn't speak. Didn't scream. That night, I sat across from Mom on the couch. "Are you giving him the house?" She didn't look up. "You're overreacting. Don't. Don't make this about drama. It's about trust." She folded a towel. carefully. Just sleep in the shed a little longer. Don't embarrass us. I stood. Walked outside. Let the cold bite through my coat. Back in the shed, I didn't turn on the lamp. I sat on the cement floor, pulled out my notebook. Wrote one sentence. Even the coldest night has a morning. I didn't speak to anyone the next morning. Not Melissa. Not Mom. Not Reed. Instead, I called the county title office. Calm voice on the other end. Yes, ma'am. Property's still under your name. No transfer has ever been recorded. I didn't smile. Didn't react. Just said, "Thank you," and hung up. Then I called Mr. Hillard, the attorney who'd handled Dad's estate years ago. "I need a cease and desist. And an eviction notice," I said. "Full legal weight." He understood without asking why. I didn't tell anyone. I let the paperwork do the talking. 2 days later, a sheriff's cruiser pulled into the driveway. Gravel crunched beneath its tires. The blue lights flashed briefly across the garage door. I stepped outside. Not hiding. Just ready. The deputy knocked. Reed opened the front door, already frowning. "I'm here to serve a court order," the deputy said, flat. "You have 48 hours to vacate the premises. This property belongs to Elena Ford." Reed blinked. "She's lying, this is our house." The deputy didn't even glance at me. Just handed him the documents. I stood behind the screen door. Not smug. Just grounded. He shouted something I don't remember. His voice cracked halfway through. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Because this time, the law spoke louder than I ever had. That Sunday, the house was still. Gray sky. Low wind. My coffee steamed quietly in the kitchen. Then, a knock. I opened the door. Mom stood there. No makeup. No jewelry. No Melissa. Eyes rimmed red. Hands shaking. "He left," she said. "Took the money. Took the car." She looked around the living room like it was a place she no longer recognized. "Can I stay here, just for a while?" I stirred my tea. The spoon clinked against the mug. "I gave you this home once," I said. "You gave me a shed." She didn't respond. "This house doesn't have room for what you brought into it. But I'll pay for a motel." I handed her the voucher. And this time I walked her out. No anger. No revenge. Just boundaries. I sat on the couch, the same one that once held 5 people and none of my worth. The deed lay on the coffee table, corners curled, my name firm in ink. No applause. No closure. Just quiet. Just peace. I didn't win. I simply stopped losing. And maybe, that's enough. So tell me. Have you ever been erased from something you built with love? And when you finally stood up, did anyone even notice? Drop your story in the comments. I'll be here. Reading. Quietly. Like I've always been. Only now, I know what silence is worth.